Another great. This is the Eurythmics. Love You Like a Ball and Chain. This was kind of a pivot from the Eurythmics. This is no longer they're no longer a synth band. They're adding a little Motown, a little some guitar, a little more fun to their sound. Did what do you think of 1985's Eurythmics?
Well, I think Annie and Dave were a little funky there, and then,
Yeah.
and this album was actually recorded in Paris. And there's a funny story behind it that Dave Stewart has told, that he actually used his mom for the sound effects in the song. So there's a part of the song where you hear the stomping on the gravel. And in Paris, there was like this youth club, and he brings his mom up to the roof where they have this loose gravel. And he's making his mother like shuffle her feet into the gravel, which is what part of the backbone of the song is. And her mother was like getting red in the face. And it was, it's actually a pretty funny story, and Annie and Dave, being together for so long, they didn't actually speak for like 30 years. And I give my good friend Laurie Majewski a lot of credit. A few years ago, they decided for the first time in 30 years to sit in the same room together and do an interview with Laurie. And they were like laughing like it was old times all over again. So Laurie brought the best out of them, but for years they never really talked, or they never really spoke, or except they did that one. Remember in the I guess it was for the 50th anniversary of the Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show. They actually got together and did a cover of a Beatles song, which escapes me. I'd have to YouTube it. But I thought maybe they would come back after that, but it was a complete one-off. But, I Love You Like a Ball and Chain is a really, cool, funky song. And you're right? Dave, they were kind of departing a bit from where they were as like a pure synth band or a duo with, great vocal from Annie and Dave doing it. And he's a genius. I mean, I've interviewed him before. He's a very down-to-earth guy, very smart. I mean, think about it. On his resume, he could say that he worked with Ringo Starr and he worked with Mick Jagger. He worked with a Stone, he worked with a Beatle, and he's worked with many, many artists in different types of genres. In fact, once I saw him in the lobby of the SiriusXM building, he was just standing by himself. No one even knew who he was. Yeah. And he was there because he had produced another artist who I can't remember, but he was there just to support the artists that he produced. He wasn't there as Dave Stewart, the musician, or Dave Stewart of Eurythmics. So he's worn many hats, and hopefully they'll get back together again. But yeah, I Love You Like a Ball and Chain. Great song from Dave and Annie and Eurythmics.
That's got to be the best life for someone like him, because he's gotten to do what he has loved to do his entire career, and he can still walk down the street in most places.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And she can do anything with her voice. I would listen to anything by her. I mean, I think she's versatile.
She's got the range and the octaves certainly to widen the net. Sometimes they say as you get older, the voice constricts a bit. Mm-hmm. And it may not be as flexible as when you were younger, but I think her voice is still as strong as it's ever been. I think they were a great couple. I mean, there were a lot of duos, right, coming through the 80s. You had Yaz, right? You had Vince Clarke and Alison Moyet. Then that evolved into Erasure. I even think about a New Jersey band called Anything Box. A lot of duos, OMD, Orchestra Maneuvers in the Dark. Heaven 17 Stars, a trio, now they're a duo. Naked Eyes, which was interesting because Kurt and Roland were in the same band with them, and they kind of felt, they went to Tears for Fears, and Rob and Pete continued on as Naked Eyes. But the duo thing I thought was always interesting during the 80s, right? Because one's doing all the, the instruments in the background, like the Pet Shop Boys, right?
I was going to say, you missed the Pet Shop
Boys. Vocalist. Yeah. I was trying to get there. I thought I lost that brain cell for a second, but I got it back. It's amazing how it disappears, comes back. Because we lived through the 80s. That's what happened. It was there, it left, and it came back miraculously. I didn't kill that brain cell.
Of course, Wham. Come on. You got your
Wham. Yeah, Go West. Go West was supposed to be the next Wham. I remember that. The guy from Christmas.
You got your Oats.
Next Wham.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was the hype. Oh, they weren't the next Wham. That was a duo, though, but they were not the next Wham. Yeah. The duo thing I thought was pretty interesting, right, in the 80s.
Yeah, for sure.